On the Healthy Human Revolution podcast, Dr. Lori Marbas interviews nutrition and lifestyle medicine experts and extraordinary guests whose informative and inspiring stories will empower you with the knowledge to transform your life and health.
Welcome to the Healthy Human Revolution podcast. I'm Dr. Lori Marbas, and I'm so excited to welcome back the beautiful and lovely, talented Gianna Simone. How are you?
Thank you so much. I'm doing great. I'm so happy to be here again with you.
I tell you, you're such a joy to talk to and so easy to talk to and have such a wonderful story. Let's talk about Gianna and when Gianna was little and all the struggles that you've overcome. I mean, it's just such an amazing story of blessings and just tenacity. Can you just tell us a little bit about that?
Thank you. Thank you for saying all that. And so I grew up in Boston and went into foster care around age 13. And I share my story because I want to inspire people. I never want people to feel sad or pity or be a victim. I always say things happen for us, not to us. And things happen to all of us, right? Like, we all have our story. We all have our moments that we can be overcomers. And that's what happened to me. I was physically and emotionally abused. And I never really like to talk about who did it, but what happened and how I overcame things that took place. And so I share my story to inspire people, to say, listen, I've been through XYZ, and it was really, really, really difficult. It was horrible. It was sad. I was suicidal. I've been through the battle. I've walked through hell on earth, and I've come out of it. And I've come out of it doing certain things. I've come out of it because of Jesus, because of what Jesus has done for us and has said for us. And I'm never really, people are always like, you're so open with your faith. Well, it's not. It's the truth. And I would be doing a disservice, number one, to myself, to God, to other people, if I didn't share what helped me, what truly helped me. And people have a different story, and that's okay too. But this is my story, and Jesus is my story. And so, and I'm just so grateful that people in my life who were, I know that like angels are their own thing, but if an angel were a human, and I know we call it like, they're my angel. And I guess it's a term of endearment because those people who were like that in my life showed me the truth. And I'm so grateful that they did. And I'm so grateful they were bold enough with their faith to show me so it could help me, really help me. And so, yeah, that's pretty much the.
Oh, yeah, that was a glossing of, that was a 40,000 foot elevation view. Can we talk a little bit about what was it like when you're 13? Because 13 is such a tough age for all humans. What was going on that led you to foster care? And then tell us a little bit about your time in foster care, because that story is so compelling.
Yeah, so the abuse that was happening at home, and I got what's called a CHINS taken out on me. It stands for Child in Need of Service. And so with that, you get assigned to a probation officer. And my probation officer, I'm friends with her on Facebook now. Like I still love her, and she loved me. And she was like, I'm dealing with all these like gang members and, kids who are actually like in need of my services. And she's like, but you're getting straight A's in school. I went to one of the best schools in Boston. You have to test to get in, and you have to, be bright. And so I was getting straight A's in that school. And she was like, I just don't understand. Like, what's the deal? Why do you need me? And I just told her the truth. I said, this is what's happening at home. And she said, okay, well, we need to take you out of your home. And then there was one night of the police being called, and I actually got arrested. And I think it was about 13 or 14. No, I was 13 when I went in. And so my dad actually came to bail me out. I was like in a holding cell, and I was like, Dad, is that you? He's like, yeah, I'm here. He calls me Jeej. Yeah, Jeej, I'm here. And then you have to go to, for anybody who's not been arrested, you have to go to court the next day. And
Wow.
You can either, go to like a juvenile detention center, or if you're 18 or older, you go to jail. So my probation officer actually stood up in front of the judge and was like, I know this woman, this young woman, and this is not her. This is not this She is being abused, and she is defending herself. She's fighting for herself, and this is unjust, and she should not be here, and I want to protect her, and she needs to be taken out of her home. And so, and my mother and father were divorced. When my dad came to bail me out, he lived separately my entire life. They were divorced. They got divorced when I was like, I don't know, before I was 1. So, it's it was a very interesting. It was a beautiful moment in a dark setting, in a scary setting let me back up a little bit. The night before we went to court, and before my probation officer stood up in front of the judge and really went to bat for me, I prayed for God to take my life because I was so scared of what was going to happen. I'm like, all of this stuff is taking place where I have to defend myself, I have to fight, and it's not fair. And I'm being abused, and yet I'm in trouble? How is that right? How is that just? And I was like, God, I don't want to be punished for being treated so unfairly. It didn't add up. It didn't make sense. And I was so petrified. I was like, am I going to have to go to jail? Am I going to have to go to juvie? What is that going to be like? And everything was going through my mind. And I was just so nervous. I was so scared. And then my probation officer went to bat for me in court, and the judge listened to her. And then that was my journey into foster care. And my dad was just he was struggling in his own life, and he was just unable to care for me. And my cousins tried to go to bat for me. And the process, in order to take a child out of the system, you have to have the most perfect record. You have to have a certain amount of everything in your life: money, house, apartment, finance, like everything has to be how they want it to be, or you do not get the child. And even if you have, if you got arrested when you were either 18 or above, because everything is sealed under 18. So even if you got arrested when you were 18 and a half, and you're 50 now, they still would not let you take a child out of foster care, unfortunately. And so what happened was, since my cousins who tried to take me, my dad who tried to take me, couldn't, and they didn't qualify, I got placed into several different homes and got bounced around. And I remember there was one home, and the woman, she was a lovely lady. She lived in the projects in Charlestown, I think. It's a part of Massachusetts. And she just wanted babies, and she had a crib and 2 bunk beds. So, well, 1 bunk bed, 2 beds, and they were for small children. And I remember sleeping in there, and I was like, I want to feel safe. What is going on? Like, I don't want to live here. I don't want to be here.
Wow.
And I'm so scared. And then nobody, I shouldn't say nobody, because a lot of people do want older children, but a lot of people want smaller children and adopt smaller kids so they can raise them, which makes sense. So I got passed around because a lot of people just wanted young kids or babies, and finally ended up in a group home. And the group home was quite interesting. It was I remember sitting there the first night at the table, and my foot was up on the chair, and I was like this, my leg was up, and one girl was like, hey, get your foot down. And I was like, oh shoot, this is gonna go down. Like, one girl had a knife. She got into a knife fight, I think. I mean, this is the story I was told. And she had a cut from here to her ear. And I was like, where am I? Like, am I gonna have to fight for my life every day? I slept with my knife by my bed every night, my telephone under my pillow. And what's funny enough is, like, the girls, when people act like that, when they act tough, or like, it's a cry for, it's fear. Anger sits on top of fear. And that's a huge lesson I've learned in my life. And that when somebody tries to intimidate you, it's because they're really intimidated and they're really fearful. And so they really need love. People who act out like that need love, and they need security and safety. and to know that, hey, listen, I'm here not as a threat, I'm here as a friend and somebody who can possibly help you. So I ended up becoming really good friends with all the girls in there, mostly all the girls, because it was kind of like a turnstile. Some girls would stay, some girls were long-term there, and some girls would come in and out. And yeah, I became friends with most of them, and we would do like workouts, and we would go for runs. And there was this one girl who had, I'll never forget the story. She had, her mom had cancer, and she became a prostitute. And so she lived in Maine, and she came down to Boston to prostitute herself. And I think she was like 15, maybe 15, 16. I don't even think she was that old. And so I remember sitting next to her, and she was telling me the story about this John that she was doing stuff with, and there was weapons involved, and then the police came, and she was told to hide weapons in a area that I was like, wait, what? And I remember sitting there and thinking, wow, just when I thought I had it bad, that's not to diminish everything that one goes through when it's challenging, but it can always be worse. And it really made me grateful in such a dark time. And so I lived out of a big black trash bag, and I put it under my bunk, and I gave her some of my clothes, and I took her for ice cream when I was not vegan at the time. And I would have taken her for vegan ice cream if I was. And then I don't know where she is. I hope that she was able to get help, and that she's thriving in life right now. And maybe that story was what happened. Maybe it was worse than what happened. Maybe it wasn't. But I remember, like, it's okay. It's going to be okay. There were moments where I didn't know, and don't feel too bad for yourself type of moment, like it can always get worse. So, and it can always get better too. And I worked really hard, and by the grace of God, it got a lot better.
So tell us how it got better, because that's a pretty cool story too.
Yes. So, I kept in touch with my dad, and we're like best friends. I love my dad. My dad has tried so hard, and he has such integrity, and I have a really good relationship with him, and we're buddies. We're just buddies. And I feel like we went through very similar in our lives. He was also abused growing up, and I just feel like we can relate to each other a lot. So he would help me and talk to me and try his best when I was in foster care. And he actually got his mom towards the end of foster care. He got his mom to take me out. I think I was like 17 and a half. So she actually took me out of foster care, and she wasn't the most mentally stable person. So, but he was there. Like, he was there to make sure that I wasn't being messed with, type of thing. And I'm thankful that she did that. I'm thankful that she was able to take me out of that situation, even though it was towards, the end of where I would age out or be able to get out on my own. I still honor her, and I thank her for that. And I'm very grateful for her help. However, it wasn't a long-term thing, and it wasn't the best situation. There was still more figuring out to do, more getting better. So I eventually got my own apartment around 18ish, and I think it was 18 or 19 at the time. And I actually got my modeling portfolio done when I think I was still in foster care. And I was around 16 or 17, and I got that portfolio done. And it was $1,000, and my dad actually gave me the money to get it done. And I just fell in love with it. I met this photographer. Her name is Gianna Simone. And I was like, this is what I want to do, and these are my looks. And she was like, okay, well, you need 12 looks, and this is what a portfolio consists of. We need to have this type of shot, this type of shot. And we planned the whole thing. And well, let me back up a little bit. I was walking through what's called Faneuil Hall. It's part of Boston. And I've heard more people go through Faneuil Hall on a daily basis than Disney pre-COVID. And so my dad and I were walking through Faneuil Hall, and I was just, expressing my heart, sharing my heart. And we were just having a deep conversation. It was almost like a spiritual conversation. I get into these with my dad, and they feel very spiritual and open. And I feel like he has so much belief in me that it gives me belief in myself. And then, the power of belief is the key. Even Jesus told us that. So believe you have received it, and it will be given to you.
Mm-hmm.
And whatever you ask for in prayer, believe that you have received it. So anyway, so when we were having this conversation, I was like, Dad, I really want to model. I really want to model. And he said, okay, well, how are we going to do this? Let's call maybe a photography school. Let's call the New England School of Photography. And I was like, okay. And so I think I had emailed them. I went on their website and I emailed them, and I found a couple, and Shannon was like by far my favorite. And I contacted Shannon. I loved her work. And then we met up and we discussed all the portfolio stuff, and we shot it. And when I was on set, I was just high. It was such a cool experience to feel and understand that this is purposeful. And I'm sure that, you feel like that when you live out your purpose, and it's this joy, it's this passion, it's this fire. And it's literally like being high. It's like euphoric. I think it's better than being high. I've tried being high and I don't like it. and I don't advocate doing drugs. I advocate going after your purpose, going after your purpose and living in it. And it is and eating fruits and vegetables, eating a great diet and living out your life purpose is the best high you can ever possibly get. So,
Absolutely.
So I totally fell in love with it, and I was like, oh, I need to do more of this. And so I went around to various agencies in Boston, and I got rejected. And you're not tall enough, you're not anorexic skinny, and even though I tried to be and struggled with eating disorders, I wasn't. But little did I know, I just had to be plant-based, and I could live my best life in my best body. But I didn't know that, and I learned my lesson, and life is a journey. So I got rejected a bunch of times, but I still had this deep burning desire to model, and did it, and became successful really on my own by the grace of God, and went to the top agency in Boston, and they rejected me like 3 times, I think. And then I had this campaign coming out for Frank's Red Hot and French's Mustard, and it was a cute commercial campaign that I had booked. And they said, okay, we'll come back when the campaign comes out. And I was like, guys, clearly I'm bookable. Clearly I'm making good money doing this on my own. Don't you even want a piece of that? And so
I'm giving you money. Come on.
And if it's about money, right? Because agencies care, it's a business. So clearly I'm, making good choices and bringing in business. So, I was in the car with another one of my photographer friends. His name is Oliver Klink, and incredible photographer. And he said, you should really call them. Have you called them since the campaign came out? And I said, no, I'm not calling them back. They rejected me 3 times. Why would I call them? And so he was like, Gianna, I really think you should call them. And so I called them, and then they signed me. And then I eventually became one of their top booking models.
Oh, that's awesome.
And it was, I still love them. I still chat with them to this day, and we're friends on social media, and I check in with them from time to time. And I'm like, hey, what movies are going on in Boston? And how are you? Happy birthday, or how's life? Yeah. And then eventually I fell in love with acting, and it was ironic because people had told me when I was getting, rejected at all these different agencies that I should act instead of model. And I was like, no, I'm modeling. I'm not acting. And this is what I'm doing. Don't tell me I'm going to do something else when my eyes are set on this. But then I ironically fell in love with acting, and here I am. So
this is fantastic. And I love how you speak to, people in your life that come into your life and supportive and all these amazing things. Do you want to tell us a little bit about someone who maybe other people who stepped into your life that were very important for your, turning you into who you are?
Yes. And I want to honor every single person in my life, everybody who has, because we always try to do the best. No human being ever wants to be bad, right? Like nobody. And I think that's a big human fear, is to be bad. And I think that's why people lie, and why people feel shameful, is because they don't want to be bad. And I think that it's okay, because we're human. I've messed up, and I've learned from my mess ups. We're not called to be perfect. We're not called to be perfect. And that's okay. But we are called to do right, when we do mess up. We're called to say, Jesus, can you please forgive us of our sins, of our mess ups? And he does, and he washes us white as snow. And we can even do that with each other. We can even say, hey, listen, I've messed up. Will you forgive me? That was not my intention. I'm so sorry. And make it right, or at least try. Do our best. Do the best with what we have.
Right.
And so some of the people, or all the people in my life, have been a blessing, who have shaped me. And I wouldn't change a thing. I wouldn't change a single thing with the people who have loved me, with the people who have hurt me, with the people who have hurt me intentionally or unintentionally. I'm so grateful for all of them. And I wish them all the best, and I forgive. And I think forgiveness is a powerful tool as well, that I've learned from being a Christian, and the importance of it. And that it's not necessarily for other people, even though it helps other people, I think, when we release them and we don't wish anything bad on them. But it is truly for us. And it's so we don't have to rot inside, and that we can be free, and that we can live a life full of joy inside, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, of love. And so are we focused on that? And to get there, forgiveness is really the path to get there. And what helps me with forgiveness is that, and I will specifically mention the people who have been amazing to me. But what helps me with forgiveness is understanding. Like, why did this person, like at the grocery store, for example, like if somebody was, mean at the grocery store, or bratty at the grocery store, like, why did that person do that? Well, then this is just totally an example. Well, maybe that person's mom just died. Maybe that person just lost their pet. I don't know. But it helps me understand if this situation was real, and I had said to this person at the grocery store, why, what's the reason you're acting like this? Why are you angry? Why are you upset? What are you going through? And they said, mom just died, or the family pet of 15 years just passed away, and I'm struggling. Oh, I get it. Okay. And that gives me more grace to them, and to understand that everybody is struggling with something, whether it's small or big, or maybe they're not struggling with something right now, but they have, or maybe they will. Just to have more compassion on them and understanding helps me forgive. Like, okay, I get it.
Just being gracious.
Yes. So anyway, so the people that have been impactful in my life, everybody, I guess my whole point is everybody, but my father, he has really shown me the power of belief in me, and to believe in myself, and that somebody else believes in me. He has always been a protector as much as he can be. And I so value that and appreciate that. And Kathy was, she really showed me a father's love, a mother's love, human love. She showed me God's love, who is our ultimate father. And that's what I mean by she showed me a father's love, is because she led me to church. So Kathy was the owner of the gym that I would work out at, like 10 hours a day. And she would ask me questions. She'd be like, why aren't you in school? You're like 13, 14. I think I was even younger. And she's like, where are your parents, and what's going on? And I sat down and I told her the truth, and she took me under her wing. She gave me a job at the gym, and she would show up every couple of months at court when I had to go to court to transition back into my house or figure out whether I stay in foster care or not. She would come to court and stand up for me and say, I want Gianna, even though my mom would say, no, I don't want Gianna. And she would. And that is, I honor that, and I see that, and I share it, because not to say something bad about somebody else, but to say something good about her. And I have to tell the truth. I have to share that. I have to honor her because of what she did. And she's actually in heaven now, and I want to honor her name. I want to honor everybody's name that I have seen make even the smallest effort to be good to me and to others. And I see that. I see the effort. I see that it was made, and I saw her love, and she made me feel so loved. Like, Gianna's not a bad kid. She's a beautiful, fearfully and wonderfully made. She's a beautiful person. She deserves to be loved. She just needs love. And I hope to do that. I don't know if I don't want to bring children into the world, especially the way it is right now. But if I ever do that with a partner, I would want to do it with a child that was the children that are here. And I've thought about doing it with foster kids and older foster kids too, because they're our future. Children are our future. Teens are our future. They're going to be the leaders of this world when we're gone. They're going to be impacting this world for our grandchildren, great grandchildren, your grandchildren, great grandchildren. And people who are struggling just need love. They need love and they need help. So she did that for me. She showed me that I was loved and that I was valuable and important, and that I'm valuable to God and I'm valuable to this world. And she really showed me that. And so she would take me to this non-denominational church in East Boston. And I would go in there and everybody was raising their hands and praise and worship. And I'm like, these people are crazy. They're crazy. What am I doing here? And little did I know that they weren't crazy and that they had complete joy and the Holy Spirit in them. And they were just being authentic and in love with their creator. And I eventually became one of those people lifting my hands in praise and worship and do it on a daily basis now. And I understand, and I understood and I learned and I heard the word of God. And then I understood by hearing how loved I am. And I didn't know what healthy love looked like. I didn't know that. I didn't understand that. And it has shaped my life for the better. So it has, I don't even know how to explain from where I've come from to where I am now is 100% because of Jesus. 100%.
Absolutely. It's transformation that occurs outside of the natural things that you would expect, right? So the forgiveness component, how do you do that humanly? It's not, I don't consider it humanly possible without some, a higher power speaking to you and making that possible. I think it's just so incredible. And then God putting people in your life to stand in place of those who were unable to. I mean, it's just, it's like you said, your angels are coming into your life and taking care of you. And I love the Kathy story. I think it's so fun and phenomenal. And it's just, you're right. You should honor her and all those that have touched your life. So it's a beautiful thing. So you go on to modeling and you get hired, and now you're young and 18. And where do you go from here? So it's like you're literally, the world's that, is waiting for you. So what do you do after that?
So I started modeling, and then I became even more successful. I signed with that agency, and I had gotten my first cover, and I was going to New York a lot with acting. And I did a feature film, an independent feature film in Boston, and a producer on the film and one of the writers, she moved out to Los Angeles and she started working with a management company. And she asked if I had any interest in moving to Los Angeles. And I said, actually, yes, I've been thinking about moving to Los Angeles or New York. And I did not like New York. I thought it was very stressful. And I would go there and like take the Fung Wah bus. Have you ever heard of the Fung Wah bus?
No.
There was one time where it like ran off the road and then it was set on fire another time. And so that just like gives you the experience of like what it took to get my butt to New York City to like, I would take the smallest jobs, the biggest jobs, like I would do it all. And as long as it was classy and I felt safe and comfortable.
Sure.
I would do it all. And then I think the Fung Wah bus was like 10 or 20 bucks, like round trip. But it would set on fire, so you never knew if you were going to catch on fire.
Oh my goodness. Okay, I don't even know what to say on that one. So go ahead, keep talking about it. So you come to LA, you're definitely much more of a California personality for sure.
Yes. And I had never been to Los Angeles. And I was like, okay, fine, I'll take it, and I accept, and represent me. I'm coming out there. So I drove across the country and just started working right away, like got modeling jobs, and just really like the word hustle is coming to me. Like I hustled And I gave it to God, but I knew that I had to do work too. And I went out every day. I went to go-sees. I worked on my portfolio. I linked up with photographers. And every time I got a job, I would use that to get the next job, and just kept growing and growing and growing, and establishing myself. And I still am, and I will until the day I die. And it's been a beautiful life journey. It's been epic. I've been all over the world, and I've been on set with like the most incredible people, the most incredible directors, J.J. Abrams, Gary Marshall, who was like named the greatest director of all time. Like, I was directed by these people. And my friend always says, well, Gianna, they got to work with you too.
Exactly. They're only as good as the people that they direct.
That's right. That's so true. I like that.
Oh, so that's absolutely true.
It's been a wonderful journey.
Oh, it sounds like an amazing and fascinating, cool journey. You want to tell us any fun stories of being on set or acting with modeling that you like to share?
When I was on set of Star Trek, that was probably the coolest,
cool.
one of the coolest sets I've worked on. And when the whole journey to get there was like, it was totally a God thing. And from when I submitted for it to how I actually got the role, to auditioning, to just like being on set every day. And JJ would have a new person to entertain the crew every single day. And he would have just such like YouTube prodigies would come in, and they would play like these colorful squares. I don't know if you've ever seen this. Like, there are these colorful squares, and then you press one and they all light up and they play different music, and he does it super fast. And
oh no,
I don't remember his name, but it was so fascinating to see. And then we had like different ice cream trucks and food trucks and a cake, because I think like Mission Impossible at the time had made like a couple $100 million, and then they celebrated that. We all celebrated that. Wow. It was so like every day was super cool. And they actually built in the soundstage, they built out the ship, so we could actually like walk through the ship. And
oh wow,
it was, and the doors would open. It was just so cool, super cool. So that was an incredible thing to experience. And I remember getting really nervous, like on set when I had to act, and I actually had to like say stuff. Like, I have to speak. Okay, you can do it, Gianna. You can say your lines. And I remember saying to myself, because I was so nervous, I was like, Gianna, calm down. You've been through so much stuff in your life that this is small potatoes compared to that. Like, this, your life isn't on the line here. You just have fun. But I'm a perfectionist, so I was like, I have to do it right. I have to do it. And it was such a big opportunity and a gigantic experience. And so I wanted to do it justice. And so I felt like, what's that saying where big opportunities or massive blessings bring big responsibility, or something like that? What's that saying?
I don't know, but it sounds true.
Yes, that's the message of it. Like, when you're blessed with a lot, you have a lot of responsibility. So I felt the responsibility to do my job and to do my part. But I was like, Gianna, come on, have fun. Don't take this so seriously. You don't have to be so nervous. So anyway, that was quite a cool experience.
I mean, that sounds really awesome. So how did you decide, like, you were definitely going to pursue more acting? Are you still doing modeling as well?
Sometimes I do it for myself. I'll do like test shoots with photographers, and I'll do it as a creative form of expression. I'm mainly acting.
Well, there's so much more to Gianna Simone though, but your pictures on Instagram are like drop dead gorgeous. Like, you just like, does it end? It doesn't end. It just keeps going. So it's like, and then on occasion you'll get this video of you doing these cool acrobatic things, and you're strong and gorgeous, and it's, oh my goodness. So can we talk about you doing the acrobatic component with the scars and everything that you're doing? I mean, it's amazing. I just sit in awe. It's like, I just keep watching it. No, that's it. She's getting lots of views because I just keep watching it, because I'm like, what did she just do there?
You're so funny. Thank you. That's so sweet. And so I saw this show. It was called Loose End Dossier, And my dear friend took me to the show right around the time I had moved to Los Angeles. I had probably been living here maybe 6 months to a year. And he's like, let's go to this show. So he took me downtown LA. We went to the show, and I was in awe. I was like one of the most beautiful things I had ever seen. And I was like, I have to do that. And now I had taken an aerial yoga class where they have aerial hammocks. And it was like simple stuff. But I was like, I can do this. I'm going to do this. So I had this like a burning desire. And I was like, I have to do something. I have to act on this because I need to get this burning desire out. Like I need to get it out. I'm not going to be able to live with this just sitting there. I need to get it out. And I was like, I need to talk to somebody. So after the show, I went up to I think the owner of the theater, and the burning desire was still there. Like it wasn't the right person. I knew that this was not the right person to talk to. So I was like, I still need to talk to somebody else. So I went up to the aerial coordinator and I was like, I need to be in your show. Like I had no right saying that, but I was like, I need to be in your show. It's so beautiful. And he's like, oh, well, we're having auditions in a couple of weeks. And I was like, oh, okay, I'll come audition for you. So, so I called a couple of aerial studios, found one, took an aerial class. I was like, oh yeah, I have this audition. I need to, get in audition shape. And he was like, okay, you should probably come to a couple classes. I took a class. I could barely climb the thing. I was like, how in the world? And then I was like horrified. I was like, how in the world am I going to tell these people that can barely climb the silk? And so I think what happened, I became so in love with it, obsessed with it. I've been doing it for like 9 years now.
Wow.
And a couple of years ago, I got the opportunity to actually audition for that show. And I took the opportunity and I went to their auditions, and I had a routine, but I wasn't 100% confident with the routine. So I didn't do my aerial routine. And I actually don't want to be part of this show anymore because my career has taken off, and I love acting, and I literally like can't travel with the show. I need to travel with movies that I do. So, but I went because I felt so called that day to be a part of the show. And I think it was to get me into it. I think it was drawing me to the art form because it's been such a healing tool in my life. Like when I go through things, it's like dance mixed with strength, mixed with acting. And I'm able to, it's like cathartic. It's so emotionally helpful to do. And so I think I was meant to do it. And I did a little bit of gymnastics when I was younger. So I have upper body strength, and you need an incredible amount of upper body strength because you're literally like pulling yourself up and holding yourself up 25 feet in the air. And so you need upper body strength. And I've always been super flexible. Like I've been like, since I was young, I was always able to like lift my leg and put it over my head and do splits, and just always been bendy. And so I was like, this is the perfect thing. It's flexible and bendy and dance and acting. And it's like the perfect thing. And so I've fallen in love with it. And I do it as a way to keep in shape and an artistic expression.
And it's really cool because you do the black and white and the color. And now there's a gentleman that I've seen you dance with as well. And you said, what is that about?
That's my friend James. He's an incredible acro performer. And if anybody wants to get involved with acro, he actually does private lessons, and his name on Instagram is Acro James. And he was in Cirque du Soleil, and he's just an incredible performer. And I feel safe with him. Like he always says if he feels like he's going to drop somebody, he would put his life in the way rather than let that person get hurt. Like he's broken limbs to save people, and he's very serious and very, very, very safe to work with. So I trust him. I adore him. And and we come up with these acro dances together. It's really fun.
I know. And I love your celebration at the end. You're like, yes, I did it.
Yeah, we nailed it. Because we do it like so many times, probably like 20, 30 times. We do the same thing. Wow. And we form it and we mold it, and it's just a cool way to create and stay in shape.
Oh my goodness, that's awesome. So those are your creative endeavors, your acting, your modeling, your expression. But you also have these other things. But before we get to that, I would like to know tell us a little bit about your plant journey and how did that all evolve?
My vegan journey.
Yes.
Okay, yes. So, and I want to be respectful of time. How much more time do we have?
It's up to you. You're good. I'm good.
Okay. So my vegan journey really started when I moved out to Los Angeles, and I had started breaking out, and I was like, why am I breaking out? This is so weird. Like, I had perfect skin, like all throughout my teens. I was like, people would come up to me and like touch my skin and be like, how do you have such perfect skin? And then I started to break out, and I was like, well, something's going on. So I'd go to the dermatologist, and he put me on steroids and he put me on antibiotics to calm the inflammation, and it wasn't working. And I was on antibiotics for like a year. And I was so frustrated, and I would cry and cry and cry, to like stay up and cry and just be so frustrated. And I just needed to understand. And why is this happening? I don't get it. What's off? And I don't want to be on medication for the rest of my life for this small issue. And what the breaking out wasn't even that bad. Like, I've seen some pretty intense acne, but because of my career, I needed beautiful looking skin. And so it was not only affecting my self-confidence, but it could also affect my career. And I was like, So no messing with my career, skin. So I needed to do something, but it was important to me and to my life and to my calling. And so I started really doing my own research and watching documentaries. I watched Freely the Banana Girl on YouTube, and I was like, wow, she's in incredible shape. She eats all this food. And I had gone through many eating disorders and starved myself and over-exercised and to stay skinny. And there were moments where I starved myself to the point where I was like scrolling through Instagram looking at pictures of food because I was so hungry. My brain needed food.
Wow.
And it just got to the point where it was like out of control, and I needed to do something about all of this, like the food restriction. I was bulimic at one point, and the skin now, and I was like, what is going on? Like, what does this have something to do with each other? And I went down the rabbit hole, and I watched Forks Over Knives and What the Health and Earthlings, and then I found out about what happens to animals and in order for us to eat them and consume them. And I just had no idea. The system is set up to where it's just in clear packaging and it's clean and pristine, and you just buy it at the grocery store, and you have no idea the horror show that goes into producing animal flesh for us to eat. And on top of that, it's contributing to the #1 killer of men and women, heart disease. And it's making us sick. Psoriasis, acne, dairy is the worst thing for acne, as you know. And so I was on low carb diets, and that's all I was eating was dairy and meat. And so that's why my skin was freaking out and it was like,
That needs to be the thumbnail. Oh my goodness. That's fabulous. Oh my gosh.
You have to do with the finger too.
Are you sure you should be a mama? I don't know. You got that down pretty good. It's the first talent you must learn.
My two fur nuggets. Charlie and Jazzy, my fur babies.
Oh no, it's much more effective on human children. I'm just saying, you get that down, you're like, So anyway, we digress. You continued, yes. So what happened?
So I did all this research. I saw the horrible effects to the planet, to our bodies, to the animals. And I was like, done, vegan. And I think I had like, people were in my ear and they were like, well, you still need fish. You still need eggs. And so I think I had like slowly transitioned to pescatarian and then just eggs. And then I just even got the eggs out because I wasn't eating very many eggs. I think I put them in like pancakes sometimes. And then started juicing and started eating lots of fruit. I was mainly a fruitarian for a while. and then I was raw for a while, and then I discovered just a whole food plant-based diet, and that's what I'm on now. So I eat all sorts of, potatoes and rice and quinoa and grains and lots of fruit still, smoothies, oatmeal, and salads, and just an abundance of food. And it's not like people are like, how am I ever going to go vegan? And it's like, well,
how can you not? It's so easy.
That's food though. Like that's food. The small amount of food is actually animal food. It's mostly plants. And so when you take the animal food out, it's really like, I always say, focus on abundance. Focus on what you're eating more of rather than what you're not eating anymore. Like, because we can only eat so much a day. And so like, what are we putting in? What are we focused on putting in? So if you eat a meal of oatmeal and bananas and a scoop of peanut butter and some cinnamon for breakfast, well, you're not going to have any room for bacon and eggs. And so focus on the oatmeal and the bananas and the cinnamon and the peanut butter and maybe a piece of whole grain toast or whatever you like, a smoothie, maybe some oatmeal and a smoothie. And then you're not focused on the stuff that is toxic to your body and making you sick. Right. And so you're focused on this fun stuff. So it's fun and it's an abundance and not a lack.
Exactly. That's a perfect way to look at it. Because I have patients either or, right? So some that are like, they're removing these things, they know it's making them sick. That's easier to digest in the brain, so to speak, pun intended. And then there's the other, that's like, I can't give this up. I was like, well, look at what you're gaining. And so that's exactly right. It just really depends on the person and where they kind of fall in the spectrum of desire, I think. But that's perfect. How long did it take for your skin to clear up?
Oh, I'd say I saw like really great results months to a year. And I still have breakouts, and I actually get like kind of a trauma response from it. I'm like, so it's a journey, it's a journey, and I'm healing my gut, I'm healing my body, and I'm fascinated. That's why I started Love Gianna, is because I want information from doctors to be readily available and brought to the public in an easy, simple way of like, what do I do with this? I'm dealing with all this stuff. I have so many questions, and people listen to doctors. And so I knew I had to do something. I learned so much on my journey. I'm still learning so much, as we all are. And it's fascinating. Like, once you go down the rabbit hole of truth, you just want more. I just want to know the truth.
The rabbit hole of truth. Which is a perfect segue into the Love Gianna and your second season just being released. So please tell us about Love Gianna, what it's about, where people can find it.
So people can find it. It's on YouTube. It's also on Amazon Prime, and there's a podcast. So it's on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and all those different platforms that host
people can
podcasts.
Listen and absolutely.
Yes, so you can watch it on YouTube, watch it on Amazon Prime, and listen to it if you're in the car or you're working out or something. And so season 1 is plant-based physicians, and like Dr. Esselstyn and Dr. T. Colin Campbell and Dr. Ornish, Dr. Barnard, Dr. Davis, Dr. Sadeghi, and Dr. Scott Stoll, just
Dr. Greger,
Dr. Lyle. Who else am I missing? Dr. Furman, Dr. Khan. So I started it because I just wanted to give, like I said, people an opportunity to educate themselves, like educate yourself and then make a decision from a foundation of knowledge. And so it's an educational platform for people to do a deep dive of truth.
I love it. And it's funny because people say, well, why is your truth and not the other's truths, right? So that messaging, I'm like, look at the people who are sharing the truth and listen to what they're saying. I guess the science is there, but people like stories. People like, I don't know, it's interesting. They'd rather listen to a story than actually look at the scientific evidence. But it's really true, right? If you look at these physicians, you look at their patients, you look at their response, it's just like every single patient gets better to some degree, 100% sometimes, but everyone gets better at some point. It's amazing.
It's the only diet that is proven to reverse and prevent America's #1 killer, The paleo diet doesn't do it. The keto diet doesn't do that. No, the Mediterranean diet doesn't do it. A whole food, plant-based lifestyle is the only diet that prevents and reverses the number one killer of men and women.
Right. It's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
It really is. So what's your second season about?
So second season I'm so excited about it. It's plant-based athletes.
Awesome.
And I was really inspired. So the reason I wanted to do the first season is because I wanted to give, people an educational opportunity. And the second season, a lot of people have stereotypes of vegans, that they're really thin, or they're going to lose a lot of weight, or lose their muscle, or they can't work out. And it's actually the opposite. And I want to show people on a massive scale that you can be a bodybuilder. You can run endurance races. You can win world titles. You can be an Olympic medalist. You can do what you want to do. I'm a vegan. I climb 25 feet up in the air and do flips and hold my body weight for 5, maybe even more minutes at a time. And that's really hard to do. And so you can have endurance eating plants and actually have more so and win. Like, we just launched Rich Roll's episode, and he was, I think, in his 40s when he was running Ultramans. And he was like, who is this? People were saying to him, who is this guy in his 40s just eating plants, winning these races? And is it him, or is it the plants, or is it a combination of the two? And Scott Jurek, we interviewed Scott Jurek as well, and who set going north up the Appalachian Trail, he set a record. And it's like, he did it all on plants, plants. And so, and I don't think that it's just these, few people that are doing it and they're the outliers. No, I think that they're doing it because of obviously who they are and their will to do it and be called to do it. But also what's helping them and equipping them for the job is the plants.
Absolutely. 100%. I mean, even my middle child, Jonathan, he's almost 25. He's plant-based for 9 years now. And he wants to break the 24-hour pull-up record. He's doing 600 an hour. It's like, blows my mind. He can do 600 pull-ups in an hour. And I'm just sitting here going, whoa. He's like a beast, man. I'm like, dude, that's impressive. And the youngest one broke his leg in 2018, I think. He was a freshman. He hit a tree snowboarding. Had to have massive surgery, 2 plates, 22 screws, 6 fractures in just the tibia. The fibula, which is a smaller bone in the leg, was like dust. The orthopedic said it was like a 4-hour surgery. Within 5 weeks, he's walking with me 5 miles. He did a half Ironman just last year. I mean, it's just like, you're just sitting here going, they heal amazingly well. There's no reason. And I'm 50. I'm like, and I'm training for my first ultra race as well. I was like, come on, guys. Everyone should be partaking in this joy. So yeah. And my husband did his first full Ironman at 49. And I'm like, this is, this doesn't mean these are just young people either, but people who are older, like Rich and others. It's really amazing. It's incredible. Well, Dottie too, right? She was like the oldest cyclist that won a silver medal in the Olympics. I mean, it's just phenomenal. She's got a great story too. Incredible. So what else are you up to? Tell us about, is there a book that you just released too?
Yeah. So
just that little
Yes, my best friend Andrea Logan and I just wrote a cookbook called Plant Love, and it's a whole food plant-based cookbook, no refined sugar or oil, and we put a little bit of sea salt in some of the recipes, but other than that, it's salt-free, and you can always omit the salt, so it's SOS free, it's whole food plant-based. And we just wanted to bring another form of educating people, getting people healthier, planting love in their lives, and for people to learn how to love plants and plant love.
But this is not no ordinary cookbook. I mean, like this is like it's like one of those art books you sit on your coffee table because it's just like gorgeous. I mean, you got two beautiful people, of course, and then just it was just and your perfectionist is coming out in your work. I was just like, oh my goodness, this is not a normal cookbook. So I mean, really is phenomenal the work that you do for
Thank
Love Gianna, your movies. I mean, tell us also, like, would you list off all your movies or some of the ones that you really like people to look? Because it's really fun to
you. Yeah.
talk to someone that you're like, oh my goodness, I know Gianna, that's so fun. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and thank you for allowing me to share stuff about the cookbook and Love Gianna, and
Oh,
just being here chatting with you and sharing my heart.
yes.
And I hope it inspires people, and I hope that what I do and what I put so much love and effort and resources and time and care into touches people, and that is
Mm,
truly my intention with it. And that was our intention with the show. That's our intention with the show, with the cookbook, with my movies, with my life. And
mm,
I want to touch people and help people and inspire people, and I truly do, because that's what we need, because so many
mm,
people have touched me, and I need it. I need to be touched and inspired too. And
yeah.
then with that, I want to give back too. And that's what we're supposed to do. Like, we're supposed to love God, love people. Like, that's literally our job here on earth.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yes.
so, some of the movies that I've been in that I love, that I think people will really enjoy, obviously Star Trek and Mother's Day, Gary Marshall's Mother's Day. It was actually his last film before he passed. And
Really? Oh,
yeah,
wow. Yeah, you
and
played, that was a funny part. I mean, knowing you, and then I'm like, oh, wow. This is the acting part. Okay. It was
and
a very different character.
yeah, it was fun. It was really, really, really fun. And Unbroken Path to Redemption was an
Mm,
incredible film. The first and the second one. The first one Angelina Jolie directed, and the second one
mm,
is about Louis. It's about Louis Zamperini's life and then his homecoming. And I play his sister. Such a special set of movies. And I'm not
yeah.
in the first one, but I'm in the second one. But I highly recommend watching both of them, because it's such a beautiful story.
I love yours the best, honestly. I've seen both. And the first one, like, Angelina Jolie's, it was a little too much for me. And I've even been in the military. I mean, I've seen things. And but yours, it was really a nice balance what they did with the movie, that the one that you did with Louis Zamperini. And he had already passed, right, when you did
Yeah.
yours.
Yeah,
Mm.
he passed. I think he just saw the first cut. I remember watching something that Angelina said, and I think he was in the hospital, and she had showed him the first cut of the movie, and then
Oh,
he
wow.
passed. So he didn't even get to see the final cut of the first one. But
Wow.
he's watching it in heaven.
Mm-hmm.
God can do anything,
Absolutely.
and I'm sure he can show Louis his movie and what it's like.
Tuning in. I
Yes.
love it.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. But there's also other work that you do, like your foundations and other
Yeah.
things. I can't even keep up.
Sometimes, honestly, I feel like I was just talking to my friend Andrea, and I'm like, sometimes I feel like my wheels are spinning, and like, where is the fruit of our work? And I'm
Hmm.
seeing, like, I just have to open my eyes. Like, there's so much fruit of our work, and that I saw this, it was a beautiful meme on Instagram, and it said, sometimes you look like you're doing this, and it was a circle, but in actuality, you're doing this, and the circle is going up. And you're
Hmm.
actually making progress, even though you may not feel like you are, but you are. And keep going. Don't ever give up. And
Nice.
and so, yeah, so my foundation, I started it just because I want to help, and tithing is very important to me. And I watched this like YouTube video a while ago, and when I was going down the rabbit hole of truth, and it was about finances, and how to grow our finances, and how to be responsible with our
Mm,
finances, and how tithing and giving back a very small portion, only 10% of
mm,
our income, or what we make, how that helps us make more money, and
mm,
how we get blessed from giving. And
mhm,
so I started tithing, and I really did it before I watched this video, but it was kind of like a reassurance of, like, okay,
mm,
I'm on the right track, and I'm doing the right thing. And um, it's nice to see other people talk about it, and to hear that, and just to be
mm.
reassured. So I had started doing it when my career started. And so my nose keeps running. It's cold in here. So anyway, I started doing it because I knew that my career was a blessing. I
Mm,
knew it was truly a miracle in my life. And I wanted to give back, and it's not my money, it's God's money. And I wanted to give back some of what I was making to God, to thank him and to help other people that he wants to be blessed too. And I believe God blesses us to bless other people. And with finances, with talking, with words, with caring, with a hug, with he blesses us with different things, and it's to help people. And to fulfill his calling and his will for our lives. And so I knew that I had to do this just to say thank you. And I do it every time as a thank you God, thank you Jesus. And so I started my foundation. So I was giving a lot of money away to various causes, and a friend of mine and business partner helped me start my foundation, and now it's with the National Christian Foundation. And so, yeah, I tithe, and people can give too as well. You can go to the National Christian Foundation and look up Gianna Simone, or just look up the Gianna Simone Foundation. And what we do is, it started just kind of, I was helping a friend send young women to university in Rwanda, and the average income there is $2 a day. And so the yearly scholarship to go to university there is $8,000 a year. So it's drastically different from our costs here in America. And so we were putting some girls through school, and she made me a partner in her foundation. And then, we went to Rwanda, we met these girls, and then I had a heart for them. And I was like, I want to help the men as well. And men and women both need to be educated. And so we started working with Kigali University, and then it started with that. And then I was like, well, I want to help foster kids. So not recently because of COVID, but I was mentoring at a facility called Maryvale, and it's they no longer use this terminology, but to help put it in perspective for you, it was like a level 12 facility, which is the step right before prison.
Oh, wow.
And so I was mentoring some young girls there. And then obviously my heart for animals, I wanted to help animals and farm sanctuaries. So I thought, how can I merge these? And so I started bringing the girls from Maryvale to the farm sanctuaries and doing field trips and just, hanging out with them and uniting abused and neglected humans with abused and neglected animals, and promote healing with both parties. So that's really what it's kind of developed into. And I'm really excited to get back doing that very soon. And in the meantime, I financially support other organizations and still, do great work that needs to get done financially with it.
Yeah, absolutely. There's so many wonderful aspects about you, Gianna, that I really hope people understand, to see where you came from and not use it as, the victim mentality that I can't do it, but you actually created something beautiful, but you're also giving back more than I think you ever received. And so personally, I live from an outsider's view. And so I think it's so important that we're able to celebrate what you've done and where you're going. And I'm super excited to see where your career goes. And do you have any other final advice or anything else you'd like to share? Because I just think everything you've said is just resonates. You're just a beautiful inside and out. So I just really excited. Yeah.
Thank you. I feel the same about you. And I'm really grateful that you exist and that you're doing the work that you're doing. And I'm happy to support you in any way. Just always let me know. And I think the take home message is that people are loved, and that you're not alone, and that we all go through the highs and the lows. And that one of my dear friends who is now in heaven as well, it's actually Kathy's son. He would tell me, Gianna, it's good, it will pass. It's bad, it will pass. And it's usually, and this is me speaking, it's usually more good than it is bad. And that we are here to love one another and to connect with our Creator. And that He is good. He is not mad at you. He's madly in love with you. And I hope that my story just touches people, and people can take various nuggets away and improve their lives, or just even feel better, be inspired, and get educated and heal their bodies, mind, soul.
And get your cookbook. And where can they get the cookbook?
They can get it. It's on my website right now. It's an ebook, and so you can download it, and it's on giannasimone.com, and you just go to the little shop tab or it's all over my Instagram, my social media, and there's all links everywhere. So it's very, very easily accessible. You can just search Gianna Simone on social media, G Simone Instagram and Gianna Simone Twitter, or you can go to my website and get it.
Awesome. And I can't wait to see all the episodes of the Love Gianna. That's going to be phenomenal. 'Cause it's fun to see these amazing people that you're interviewed, and it's just a joy. I'm so excited for your second season. Maybe a third, we'll see. I don't know.
We'll see.
Well, thank you, Gianna. Again, it was such a delight to speak to you again. And everyone listening, check out Gianna Simone. And are we updated on Instagram a lot? I think that's where you hang out the most.
Yes,
Yeah.
sure.
Okay. And then we could see what work you're working on. And there's so much more that we could dive into. But again, this has just been a joy, and hopefully we can bring you back on and we'll talk more about more movies coming up as COVID passes and life gets back to normal. Well, thank you so much, Gianna. It was a joy speaking to you yet again. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed that video. Before you go though, please hit the subscribe button and the alert button so you will be notified whenever we upload any new videos. On Monday, we upload the Healthy Human Revolution podcast. Now, if you'd rather listen to the podcast, you can find it on all the major platforms such as iTunes, Google Play, SoundCloud, and even Spotify. On Tuesdays, we upload the Doctor's In. This is where I answer your questions. Thinking of that, could you please comment below any questions you might have about health or wellness, or any topics that you would like me to cover? Now, if you're looking for more resources on how to start a plant-based diet, sustain a plant-based diet, exercise, recipes, anything regarding wellness, we've got you covered. Check out healthyhumanrevolution.com. And again, thanks for watching.